think Nina Simone says the artist's job is to reflect the times. I actually feel like the artist's role is to transmute it, to switch it, to turn on its head, to rip it apart.
Even though I was acting, I was on set, I'm thinking about, I'm doing this for my trans sisters, I'm doing this for my queer family.
Hey fam, it's me, Amara Jones. Welcome to the TransLash podcast, a show where we tell trans stories to save trans lives. Well, we're in the middle of a blazing summer, which means that it is the perfect opportunity to stay inside, cool down by catching up on some amazing shows that you may have missed when they first came out. So today we'll be spotlighting specifically 2 shows and 2 actresses who play such characters that you should definitely binge. First up, we'll hear from Loré Jazelle, who plays Fatima on the Paramount Plus show, The Chi. Then we'll hear from Chyna McQueen, who was recently nominated for a BAFTA award for her performance in the HBO Max series, Get Millie Black.
In Jamaica, nothing haunts like history.
I'm so excited to be joined today by Loré Jazelle. Loré is a Black trans artist and narrative strategist based in New York. She plays Fatima on the Paramount Plus series, The Chi. Loré prides herself on being a subtle, an embodied artist who strives to facilitate introspection and radical meaning making for audiences. Loré, thank you so much for being here. I kind of stumbled on the...
Yeah, what's the gag about subtle?
What is subtle about you? Precisely. Well, thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate you and really appreciate diving into a series which people should dive into, especially, we're trying to uplift Black trans characters on television that people can go back and binge watch, and this 100% qualifies. When you first got the call about this character, what did you think? And where were you in your life that said you were ready for something like this?
I was not ready. I feel like at that period, so this was like 2021, I was in a deep depression. And I gained 30 pounds. I was binge eating. And I didn't want to be seen. That was literally a thing for me. I did not want to be seen. So when I got this role was like, stumbled across my desk, I had to contend with myself and say, do you want this opportunity of a lifetime? Honestly, this is your dream. Like, this would be beautiful. It'd be great. I'm living in LA. I moved to LA to pursue acting. Or do you want to live in this muck? And I chose to move through the pain and the fear and the disorientation. I got a therapist to work with me through the process. But I didn't have any expectations. I was just like, let's just do this, and I might fuck it up, but who knows?
How did you get ready to go from, as you say, a person who didn't want to be seen, was depressed, to all of a sudden going on to a premium cable show, now streaming, but at that time on Showtime? Like, how did you make that transition? How did you prepare yourself to walk onto a set and be, produced, directed by Lena Waithe, and to be with other people who've been, some amazing guest stars, et cetera? Like, how did you get ready for that?
I didn't. There was no preparation. I literally, it was very quick. I think I had like 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
What?
And
To prepare. And
then I'm standing across from Luke James. And so it was wild. And I wasn't ready. I wasn't prepared, but I think that's what I needed. I think the universe was like, girl, if we don't kick you in the butt, I think you'll just sit around forever. And so, yeah.
You got shoved out there.
Yeah, I got shoved out there.
So your character, what are the similarities between you and what are the and dissimilarities with Fatima? Like, how are y'all alike? How are y'all different? Because you have to bring some part of yourself into the character in order to inhabit it. And at the same time, right, the character also has to be true to their life, their circumstances, which is going to be different.
What's interesting about characters that you carry for years is that as you change, that character will change as well.
That's right.
And like the things that I had been learning, lessons I've been trying to metabolize, I was able to metabolize that with Fatima.
Wow.
So I think when I first met her, we were similar, but I didn't respect her. And it was a struggle for me because what I saw in her was a deep level of insecurity that I didn't want to look at in myself. That's why I didn't respect her, because I wasn't able to, she was a mirror for me, you know? And I think throughout my time working with her, especially this year, I was able to find not only respect for her, but a sort of camaraderie in her. And she helped teach me a lesson that not only helped me, but I think helps me kind of understand how we all are right now in the trans zeitgeist.
But in 2022, I think you told BET that she actually was a model for Black liberation overall. So you're saying on the one hand that, you didn't really respect her, she was deeply insecure, but at the same time, there were parts of her that you clearly admired. And
absolutely. I think, okay, so it's layered. I didn't respect her because there's a person that we perform in the world, and then there's the shadow underneath.
100%.
And I think when you're an artist and you're working with a character who I see as a full living being that has energy, she can use my body to show her outward persona. I intimately know the shadow underneath her.
Wow.
And so when I say I didn't respect her is, and this is just me being honest, we're not supposed to judge our characters, and I had a struggle with that. I was able to meet her shadow, and now I know is a mirror for my own shadow. And I was disgusted by it. I was ashamed of it. And so what I wanted to do when I stepped in was highlight the best parts of her. And so there were scenes like in season 5, episode 5, it was written by a brilliant writer, Ricardo Gamboa. And that scene where Fatima sitting across from Victor, and she's telling him, if you don't declare the love that you have for the women that you love, it erases us. She's forcing him to speak his truth publicly. And for me, in that moment, I approached that as she feels like she's standing her ground and she's up here. He has to meet her at her depth. And if not, then she's going to walk away. But the more that I sat with her, the more I met her shadow, I realized, oh no, she's exporting love and value and onto him. She needs him to do these things because she can't find it within herself.
Which is the part of her that you didn't respect.
That I didn't respect, because I was like, well, I'm above that. I don't feel that way. I've been transitioned for 10 years. I'm good with it. And then I realized throughout playing this role, it's like, oh no, girl. The woman I am today, as much as I love the woman I am today, was crafted and created out of circumstances of survival, circumstances where I transitioned at a private Catholic HBCU in New Orleans, where they called me the abomination of Xavier. You know what I'm saying? And I developed my womanhood there. And I think for me, it was how do you make yourself smaller to just get through, just be good enough? And that became the foundation for who I am. And so when I met Fatima, I was like, well, I've done the work. I'm good. She got a lot of work to do. But I had to look at myself and be like, no, you have a lot of work to do, because you still feel shame. You still feel like you had to be small. You had to play small. You had to disappear yourself, which is also why this role, forcing me in a moment where I didn't want to be seen, synchronicity, So I'm grateful for her.
I mean, in some respects, what she represents, right, is this tension that a lot of Black trans women carry, right? On the one hand, saying me being myself is the proof that I love myself, right? And I'm demanding that the world love me accordingly. But at the same time, that love being really fraught.
I think that there's something to be said about, I want to go back to that scene with Victor, because in that moment, she's asking him to love her out loud publicly. And I think a lot of people saw that as, yeah, she's putting up this, she's pushing so hard. But what we're realizing is love is not something that needs to be earned, but it's something that you recognize. And so, like, I think for her and the men, and I'm not even going to speak about Fatima and Victor, I'm speaking about trans women in general. We want the people who love us to love us fully, but they can't fully love us if we feel ashamed of our transness. If we feel like there are parts of me I have to disappear in order to feel like I earn that love. And if you're with someone who feels like when they say trans women are women, why are you doing mental gymnastics to justify your love for me? It is not to say that I need you to, yell out to universe like, I specifically love but if you love a trans woman, if I'm a trans woman, you shouldn't need the disclaimer that I'm a woman, so I love you. You should just love me. We tell ourselves all the time that we have to transition right. We do all the right things. I spent years thinking of all the surgeries I needed to get in order to be accepted into society. And then you realize, can I use a slur?
Yeah.
You realize you do all this stuff and you're still a tranny. And I say tranny, I'm using that specifically to say that we are abject, we are monsters. You're still that. And so how dare you tell me after all this time that if I do da-da-da-da-da, I'll be okay, and then you get here, you're not. And so I think I see that in Fatima, where there was a point, and people will see in this season, season 8, there's a point that she has a conversation with her gay mother, and she realizes, like, I made myself smaller and I still don't have the love that I thought that I deserved. I did everything right and I still don't have that. And we're like working so hard to make it fit and make it right and contort ourselves. When it's like, what happens if you don't care? You just let go.
Yeah, it makes me think about like what has always been the standard for myself, which is that, I'm not interested in being the woman that other people think I should be. I'm interested in being the woman that I want to be. And those aren't the same things. And we get reminded of that in so many different ways. So the other day I was literally walking down the street in my neighborhood in Brooklyn, which shall go unnamed. And I was walking and this person, I was literally minding my own business, walking my little dog. And this man just says, like, from the sidewalk, he was just standing on the sidewalk talking to his homies. He looks up to me, he goes, why you gotta be so tough? And I was like,
okay.
There's so many things that I had to say to that, but of course I didn't say anything.
Yeah.
Because there's so many ways that can go. But sort of the idea of needing to shrink ourselves or contort ourselves into the spaces where we think that if we do that, we will make other people comfortable enough to fill in the blank, to love us, to accept us, to give us a job, to do all of those things. That somehow that they'll see me as a human. If I shrink myself to a certain size, they'll overlook me and they'll forget that, as you said, I'm a tranny.
And they never do.
It's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. Got bad news for you. Like, it literally is just not going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
So on that particular point, this segue into like, a neighborhood not unlike that in The Chi, where this man said something to me, it brings me to think about Trig, who is Fatima's love interest, and the way in which he is at war with himself over his love for her, because it is love for her. Wouldn't you agree? Like, it is. Absolutely. It is. He loves her, and he tries to let her know as best he can that he loves her. Can you talk a little bit about the insights of the struggle that men who love trans women have?
Yeah.
That you've learned from the show?
Yeah. Victor loves Fatima very much, but he doesn't love himself enough.
Yeah.
And I think for him, it's like Fatima just wants him to show up for himself, to be free, release herself. And in choosing to not only love a trans woman out loud, to feel no shame about it, to like, those are steps that have nothing to do with Fatima and have everything to do with you. And I think relationships, you're supposed to, like, your nervous system should relax. You should be able to co-regulate together. And if you are always vigilant, if you're always trying to construct a personhood outside of who you really are, then you're not able to relax. You're not able to meet that other person and just breathe a deep breath.
Do you think that she is trying to love him to acceptance? Because sometimes people do believe that, right? Like if I just love on you enough, right, you will then be confident enough to not only embrace me, and the necessary requisite to do that is embracing yourself, right? Do you think that she believes that? Or do you think that she really does sort of fundamentally understand that the work is his?
If I'm speaking from specifically her perspective, I don't think she's aware of that fully. But I think that she knows. I think that they are so energetic. I think their higher selves yearn for each other so much, so deeply, that it pulls out sort of the mirror that they both need for each other without her consciously knowing that she's doing that work. And also too, like she has a lot of work herself.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. They both have work.
Yeah.
Which is why they find each other. That's the whole thing about, any type of relationship counseling is that they will tell you that you all not only are together for all of, as you say, the sunny reasons, you're actually together to do deep, deep work on the parts of yourself that are hidden and obscured. And that the problem is people think that the relationship is supposed to be kind of all in the sun phase and not understanding that actually what a lot of times drives what we call love, drives passion is your sort of deeper parts of yourself actually being excited to find someone that they can do this deeper work with.
Yeah, and feel safe to do that.
Did this role make you want to play more Black trans women characters, or did you go, this has been great, and do you, because you bring so much complexity and layers, and as you say, you change her over time. Both she is changed and you are changed, and it's a dynamic process, so it's changing over time. How do you feel about embodying other Black trans women?
Yeah, I am so committed to the trans agenda. Committed. I see a lot of trans artists. I hear a lot of conversations of folks who I want to play cis roles. I don't want to do. And there's a space for that, there's a lane for that. Sure. I think that transness is beauty. There's something about transness for me feels like this rupture or this fissure in the illusion of society that I need to be digging in more. Art for me, I think Nina Simone says the artist's job is to reflect the times. I actually feel like the artist's role is to transmute it, to switch it, to turn on its head, to rip it apart, and to transform themselves while transforming the work so that other people can see that and ascend and transform as well. And so I think that the best place to do that is with trans stories, because there's so much free reign to just play, and I'm not bounded by the constructs. We can be, but I think for me, especially with this roles, I don't want to be limited. I want to use that as a lens to bring more nuance, to bring more beauty, to bring more complexity to how we talk about life, to shift how people relate to one another. So I'm committed to, and I think Fatima, she was the start of that for me. And I think any role I do after this, I'll always hold Fatima in my heart, because she helped me free myself, and I think the future trans characters that I write or that I embody will just be that much more bright.
Yeah, it's so interesting when you talk about transmute, changing and being changed. It's like it's describing like transness as sorcery almost, you know what I mean? Which of course is the fear of the people who say that, in Donald Trump's words, transgender for everybody, which on certain days we would live in a very different world. When show's ending this year, your journey with her ends or has ended, but for the audience is coming to an end. If you were to think about where, if you could follow her and you would see her 20 years from now, what do you, as a person who plays her, what would you hope for her for a life 20 years from now?
That's a good question. We met her as a reporter. I wouldn't want her to be a reporter. Because as I've gotten to know her, I feel like that was part of her journey of doing the right thing, being the right type of girl. I want her to do something. I thought she would be a slam poet. I feel like because also too, Fatima doesn't talk a lot, but she uses her words intentionally. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And so, I feel like she'd be into poetry or something like that. I want her to be a writer. I want her to be single. I want her to.
Wow.
Yeah. I want her to be single. I love that relationship between her and Victor.
So you wouldn't want her to be in a relationship with Victor anymore? You would want her to be single?
Or find someone. I feel like.
Find something.
Find someone else or something else. Or sometimes I feel like they are in maybe like twin flames for each other. I don't think that they're supposed to be together forever. I think that the universe put them together at a particular moment in their lives to become mirrors for one another, to see the work that they had to do on themselves, and to ascend and do that work together. And then, they become different people. And I think that they'll move on and do their own thing.
So we've spoken so much about you being kind of in front of the camera. Mm-hmm. Is that a wild experience? I'm just curious, like being on set, living many people's dreams, people who want to be actors, people who want to be in front of the camera, people who want people to know who they are in the world. Mm-hmm. To go and to be on a set, to be a part of experience, to then see yourself, to be on red carpets at premieres and that sort of thing. As a person in front of the camera, how has that experience been for you as you reflect on it? How's that changed you? We talked about how the character changed you, but how has being a person on a show changed you?
Yeah. It was rough. It was rough at first. It's beautiful in the making of it. It's beautiful connecting with your castmates, connecting with the crew. Those seasons are just great times. Hair, makeup, beautiful times. And then when the show airs and then the audience receives it, you become Fatima and you're under the scrutiny of what. And I think for me, again, I think there was a part of me that felt like, okay, I've gotten all these surgeries, I had this work done, and now I'm ready to be on this TV show, and they're going to eat me up. I'm going to be accepted. They're going to love me. And they ain't love me, girl. They ain't love me. They didn't love me. And I had to deal with that grief. I remember I was with my bestie, and we were in Europe. I'm so glad we were there, having the time of our life. And the show was coming out, and I was just looking at Twitter and just seeing how people are receiving, and I was crying. I had this folder on my phone called For Me. And so I'll just make like vlogs to myself, like, okay, Loré, it's whatever 2022 and you're feeling this grief and and I would do that each year until it gets easier, until I get to a point where I think it clicked for me where it's like, okay, there will always be someone, again, I will always be a tranny. There will always be someone to say, oh, her shoulders are too big, or her nose, or her lips, or her eyes. Girl, whatever you have, for the day. But when I'm not worried about that and I'm at home, I'm looking at I feel fine. I feel fab, I feel perfect. And so I had to realize, like, okay, acceptance isn't the end goal, or like how other people accepting me. The end goal for me is just like, I am okay with who I am. And I want to bring that and share that. And however y'all receive it is how you receive it.
Yeah, it's the you for you versus the you for public consumption, right? Like, because it is consumption, like the public is consumed. And it's also interesting, all of these like different comments about where there's to this or to that, or because what's fascinating is the way in which that tracks for all Black women, right? Like very few Black women feel as if feminine parameters actually apply to them totally, right? In all these ways. Like I have an amazing friend who has an amazing body, but the clothes aren't made for her. right, are made for the way that she's shaped. And every time she goes to buy jeans, feels tremendous shame.
Yeah.
Right? Tremendous shame.
Yeah.
And that has nothing to do with her as a person. And it's because she's a Black woman who's shaped like a Black woman. And I think that what's interesting about that is that that's a scrutiny that all Black women face, but Black cis women don't rarely see the similarity, that it's in many ways the exact same thing.
Yeah. I think that makes me think about like my hair, for example. When I first transitioned, when I first started medically, not even medically, when I was socially trans, I made the decision. I had traditional locks and I cut them off. I went bald and I wore wigs for the rest of, because I was like, this is what it, like to be feminine. And, we went through Fatima doing the same thing. And then I moved to New York and I just was like, I want to be free because I felt like I was hiding, we love a wig. I'm still good, love a wig, but I felt like I needed it. And I was like, what would it look like for you, Loré, to get some microlocks and just, free yourself from having to align to a specific beauty norm. There's, I think, white, and I wanted Fatima to have that too. So this season I was like, and girl, I think I was 3 months into my journey at the time when I started this season. So my hair was all thin and scraggly and they were like, we could give you it. I was like, no, I'm gonna be vulnerable. I'm gonna bear the truth. And like, I want not only Black trans women, but Black women in general to look and see like, okay, you can just, and who cares what people think or what they feel? I feel free. I feel beautiful. I feel pride. There's so much pride here. And yeah, I want us all to feel that. And so I thought it was important to have her have that journey. And I see so many other women in the industry who, do that themselves, embrace whether it's their makeup or their bodies or their hair or whatever. And it's beautiful to see. I'm so proud of us.
And then when it comes to being in Chipa, so we spoke about how Fatima wants to have her future in 20 years or so. But a part of the future that you see for yourself is not only in front of the camera, but it's also behind the camera or in the writer's room or as a producer or director. Can you just talk a little bit about that process and what led you to want to not only be a vessel, but also to actually create the vessel itself?
Yeah. Writing has always been my first love. And I would write political essays. I was that essay girl. I was the blogger, that girl back in like 2014. And even to this day, I would always...
You had your Tumblr page?
Yeah, I had my Tumblr page. She's still up there. If people can find her.
Okay.
She's still around. Had my Tumblr page, my WordPress. I was blogging for like... For Harriet and things like that. And then, or Wear Your Voice, blogging for them. And then, even to this day, I have this theoretical practice where I read nonfiction and I'll like write, and I write essays I share on my Substack. But there was something that was telling me like, how can I use the stuff that I'm learning and imbue it into a creative practice for myself that other people can receive in different ways. Nobody wants to read a stuffy essay all the time. And so, yeah, I've been diving into creating nuanced, complicated, contradictory trans narratives. And it's been so fun. And I can't wait for people to like see that, because I feel like trans stories are either down in the dumps, or it's like, well, we got to make sure that they're exceptional and that they get everything. And that's not human.
No.
I want complexity. I want nuance. You know what I'm saying? I 100%. Want them. And so, yeah, I'm writing stories that are like that, that make people feel uncomfortable, that make people feel unresolved. Because I also feel like in the pursuit of making sense, we lose the plot. So what does it mean to just embrace nonsense? And to live in the disorientation, to not have an answer and to be okay with that. I think that's Transness leads the way towards that. And so I've been creating stories where we're just embracing liminality and seeing what happens. And so writing a novel right now, working on some shorts, working on some features. And I hope that, the world is ready to see what I have to bring.
I'm going to end with the same question that I asked about Fatima, but for you, 20 years from now, what do you want to see for yourself?
I want to live a rich life. And when I say rich, I want to wake up in the morning, greet the sun. I want to feel grounded and embodied. I want to have a creative life where, and it doesn't have to be like, oh, I'm just a writer, I'm an actor. Whatever my soul feels connected to at the time, I want to be able to do that, get paid for it. I want to have a full love. And I want to just, greet the world. I want to be able to travel when I want, rest when I want. I want my family to be okay. I want to not want or need for anything. I don't have to be on red carpets and be super famous and everyone say, oh, she's the best in the world. I don't need that. I just want to be able to look at my life and say, I'm grateful. Have rich friendships, that's it.
Well, we're so grateful that you came on the TransLash podcast to talk about your character and the show and the hopes for her and the hopes for your future, and just so grateful for you and everything that you've brought to us so far, and look forward to what you're going to bring.
Thank you, Amara. I'm so grateful for you. Thank you for having me. And you're just a light in this world. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you. That was actor and artist Loré Jazelle. Next up on the show, I'm so excited to talk with BAFTA-nominated actress Chyna McQueen. But first, before getting into it with her, we're going to take a quick break to bring you some trans joy. For those of you who don't know, Trans Joy is where we highlight a trans person doing important work in their community. Today, we're featuring Obie Outlaw. Obie Outlaw is a theater artist and activist who recently directed a play for the Atlanta Fringe Festival called St. Elmo's Fire. The play is about a group of fishermen who get caught in a storm in Atlanta's notorious and allegedly haunted Lake Lanier. I think it is because I'm from Atlanta. Here's Obie to tell us more.
What most drew me towards this was the history of Lake Lanier. Lake Lanier is actually on top of what used to be an all-Black commonwealth for freed slaves called Oscarville. Not a lot of people know that there's actually a city underneath the lake, and that land was forcibly taken from the Black community there and then redistributed to a white community, and then later on turned into a drinking source for Atlanta. So in the course of the play, there's three guys. One of them is very much like, we're going to be okay. I know we can do this. And the other two are like, we're doomed. They tap out. They've accepted their fate and are going down with the ship. But one of them is able to see the world differently. It has the capacity to have belief that something else can happen, that they can make it out of this situation alive. Do they ultimately survive? Is that one person's attitude enough to change their fate? The people of Oscarville did not have a choice. They were not so lucky. The 1912 race riots were a very real thing, and a lot of people lost their lives for no reason other than bigoted hate. So this opportunity to have a different outcome is made possible by this one character's ability to imagine something different, to imagine a different future.
Do you know someone like Obie who embodies trans joy? Well, DM us on Instagram or send us an email at translash_podcast@translash.org and tell us who they are and why you think they should get a shout out in a Trans Joy segment. Chyna recently made history as the first Jamaican actress and the first Black trans woman to be nominated for a BAFTA award for her role in the HBO series Get Millie Black. Chyna, thank you so much for being here.
Yay, thank you for having me.
So thrilled. I was so blown away when I streamed the series, and then I found you on social media and I started harassing you on social media about how amazing your performance was in the entire series. And I'm just thrilled to be able to finally sit down with you.
Appreciate it so much. It's so great to see you too. Oh my God, you have no idea how, literally how honored I am. And for me, Get Millie Black, it was a blessing. I try my best. I keep telling everyone that, I did my best and I did what's supposed to be done.
For people who haven't watched the show, can you tell us about Hibiscus and what Get Millie Black is about without giving too much away?
So it's about crime and violence. It's also about queer representation. It's also about I mean, of course, trans representation and what it's like living, in deep down in Kingston is also have white Jamaicans and also what they've been up to, and also true authenticity and true Jamaican right through and through representation, and also life and complex about family, about sisterhood. So if you haven't watched it yet, please do watch it. It's amazing.
Well, you got a BAFTA, which is like a combination of the Oscars and the Emmys in the UK. What was that like? Because the series, basically, I believe it came out last year, if I remember correctly. And then the BAFTAs, the announcement was made in the spring, in the late spring. So what was that like? Was it a total surprise for you? Did you know that HBO Max was putting you up for the BAFTA, or?
Well, I didn't know it totally. I was like too surprised until I keep calling everyone like, did you know about this? Did you what was happening behind the scenes? And it was a total shock to me, and I didn't even know that they put it out there, to be submitted. So I was surprised. I was so happy. I got a call in the morning because UK time is totally different. So I got a call way earlier than I expected. I got a call say, "Oh, Chyna, you've been nominated for BAFTA." I was like, "Wait, what? What's happening?" Because I was in my sleep. I was like, "Okay, what's happening? Be nominated?" So Chyna, "Okay, you've been nominated for BAFTA." I was like, "You mean the British Academy?" And they say, "Yes, supporting actress." I was like, "Okay, let me call you back." And I started doing a lot of calls, and I was so nervous to the point I was shaking. So it was so amazing.
So the character Hibiscus is rooted very much in Jamaica. Like she reflects so many different trends and realities in Jamaican history, culture around masculinity and femininity, to the way in which trans people are dealt with and treated there. And so she's very much situated in a particular place. And that's also the place where you're from. So before we turn to the character, I just want to talk a little bit about your own biography as a trans person in Jamaica. How did you feel growing up there? Did you feel as if you were safe? Did you feel as if you could be yourself? How did you come to know that you were trans? And then how did you go about trying to realize who you are there?
So it was, of course, it was typically hard for me because, living in Jamaica, whether you gay or trans, is very hard. And it mentally affects me a lot because I couldn't really be my true self. There are times where I do have to, I would say, de-dressed where I couldn't fully be myself, just look for jobs, just to look for somewhere to stay at. At one point, I had to lie that, that because when I was living with my partner at the time, I had to lie that, okay, I'm with my cousins because you can't live in a same apartment or same without saying that, okay, you have to be related with someone. Two men can just live in one apartment. So it was very hard. And why it affects me mentally, because at day I have to they're looking for jobs and the jobs would accept me because you're too feminine, and the only jobs where I would be more qualified for is like a call center where you have to really deal with anybody when you just talk over the phone. Mm-hmm. And then whenever I did my resume is good, whenever I do an interview, they'd be like, "Okay, you're too feminine. I'm sorry, you're too pretty." Because I remember one time I was doing an interview for and then I remember the Jamaican guy was being very ignorant. I mean, no, say him too pretty. I don't want him in my company, him too pretty. Mm-hmm. That was his response. I was like, okay. And then at the same time, why, again, it affects me mentally, being that in the day, wear a suit and tie, looking for jobs, and then in the night, that's where I have to be my true self, because where I be my true self, I have to be, around the organizations, I have to be with my chosen family, where I can literally be myself. That's where my safe space is. So it's all about the community, the organizations that we have in Jamaica, because it can be hard and during every day. So we normally just stick with each other every day.
Mm-hmm. And then when did you know that you wanted to be an actor, and how did you eventually make your way to the United States?
Being an actor wasn't really on my radar. When I went to school, high school, I study poetry, poem. I usually do performing arts. I always want to be a performer, to be honest. I went to school there. I was like, they would say, oh, you're the funny one out of everyone. And that makes me more happy. I like to make people laugh. So, of course, you know, when I find out this is who I am as a trans woman, the first thing that I think about, okay, I wanted to be a model. I want to be a Jamaican model, Jamaican trans model. So I have literally everything. I buy my t-shirt, I buy my black pants, I have my ears. I was like, okay, I'm going to pause and I'm going to audition. And then before I even go through the door, it's like, no, Chyna, that's not going to work for you. The country that you live in, it's going to be impossible. And then Get Millie Black, it's just, why I say so much, it's a blessing because I was at a point where I was like giving up. I was literally reaching a breaking point. And that's lead me to here. Because I know what? I'm just going to leave this country and just try to seek asylum. Then in the night, we went to this queer exhibition in Jamaica. And then we saw, which is now my manager, Nadine Rawlins, and she'd be like, okay, you're fit for this project. I literally see you for this project. And then
Oh, wow.
I was like, okay, exchange contact and everything. And then I did a self-tape. And then after that, a weeks back now, I received an email said, okay, did the introductions, here's now the script. I saw the script was okay. The script was a hibiscus. I was like, okay, she's trans. I didn't even know that what role I was getting. I was like, okay, I don't think it's fit for me. There's so much more talented trans woman in Jamaica who is perfect for this role. And then I got confident boost from my partner. Shout out to Hakeem. He's the reason why I'm here right now. So he's be like, no, do this, please. I'm begging you. This is so you. This is what you wanted. This is what you dream of. I was like, okay. And then I got a call saying that, okay, we're going to have the audition in person. Now you come. And then I was there with the amazing director, Tanya. And she was like, on me. At one point I was saying that, okay, this is not for me. This is, okay, acting is too much. I thought it was just read something and do it. This is too much. And then everyone was saying that you're so good. Have you ever go to school for? Have you ever done everything? I tell her no, but I was, always interested in performing arts. I really love reading poem and everything. So I guess that's the younger child in me, exploring now, living my childhood youth that I never really had. And that was it. I was like, okay, you did well.
I mean, it's wild that you were going to give up on modeling because you thought your career was going to be modeling and you were ready to give up on modeling. Mm-hmm. You go to this event, you meet a person who is the casting person for this show. They say you're going to be perfect for this show. You try out for the role. You didn't act before, you got it. And then first time gig eventually leads you to a major nomination. That's like a story of destiny. Like you read, these are stories that, you read about. Don't seem real, but they're real. It's fascinating to me that you didn't think that you were great for this role because I think anyone who watches this, it's hard to imagine anyone else as Hibiscus because she is so totally inhabited by you that I was convinced. I mean, the entire series is amazing. I was convinced that every single person in the series was a real person, but I think that's doubly true for Hibiscus. Like she is so real and so fully inhabited. She is a quote unquote gully queen. She's a trans sex worker who they call it a gully because of very specific places where you basically perform sex work. And one of the things that's the dynamic in the show is that she is the mirror for her sister who leaves Jamaica in part with Hibiscus's help, we won't tell what the help manifest as, goes to England, becomes basically a middle-class professional person, returns. But Hibiscus is the mirror for her entire existence, right? Like she, and that explains like so much of the contention that they have. As a part of that contention is an anger and a rejection that Hibiscus has of love, essentially. And so I'm wondering where you found that in yourself, because that doesn't seem to be you, yet you tap into that so powerfully. And there's so many times that I'm watching where I want Hibiscus, I'm like, just say yes to what she's offering you. And Hibiscus is like, basically, fuck them hoes, you know? Like, it's just basically like over and over. So can you just talk a little bit about, like, I think that's such an essential part of her character and a part of ourselves that we don't like to explore, is that sometimes when good things show up, we reject them, and we reject them because fill in the blank. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because again, that doesn't seem like you, but I thought it was you.
No, you're totally right. You're totally right. I am growing up. I have a family of household where whenever I stand up for myself or try to defend myself, I will get beaten. I will get cursed at, or will get shot at. You're disrespectful, you're rude. So because of that, growing up in a household, I was very timid. I was very shy. I didn't like to speak at all, because whenever I do talk, whenever I do say something, if I do get angry, I think I'm gonna be in trouble, or there's something wrong I do, even when I'm not in the wrong. So to get into that character, and I learned so much about Hibiscus, and she also teaches me a lot too, which is amazing. So I realized that we are so much similar in so many things, but we're also different in so many things. She's more range, she's more loud, she's more outspoken. I am not the same. Chyna's not the same. So I have to tap into that. I have to think about things emotionally. I have to go back in my past, which sucks because nobody likes to go back in their past, and think about things that I wanted to say, I wanted to scream, I wanted to show that. And that's where my acting coach, Toby, comes in. Is it that think about the things that hurt you back in the past, and how you wanted to respond to them now when you did get the chance. And then he told me that technique, and I was like, yes, this is so good. I'm going to use this, not only to character-wise, acting-wise, but for more like, also like, would you say, redeem yourself? Like, look at it to say that, hey, this is all the people that you want to say, fuck them, scream at them. You're putting this into this character, which is Hibiscus, beautifully. So I think about those stuff. Hibiscus wants her sister to see her as who she is and love her for who she is. I didn't get to do that with my sister. I didn't get to do that with family, relatives, friends who I did. I would just say, you know what? I just leave them. Because of Hibiscus, the character changes me a lot. I now have the, look at people and say, you know what? You have to accept me for who I am now. And if not, okay, fuck it.
It's so interesting that I didn't know that she also mirrored, like, and you also had a sibling relationship.
Yeah.
Like, there are these things that do mirror your own life. One of the reasons why she rejects is because she doesn't want to look back. Right? Her sister wants her to look back, and then she doesn't want to do that for a lot of reasons. Talk about the challenge of playing that, because you didn't get to play that on a Hollywood set. Like, you actually had to play that in the country, in the place where you experienced the trauma. It wasn't like you were on a soundstage in London or you were in New York or LA. Like, you were doing this in the real place for you. Yeah. What was it like to have to make that journey when she does have to confront her past and chooses to do that? What was that like to play for you?
It was very emotional. It was hard at some point because they have to have like, and what I love about the team, really, everyone, is they're just so supportive. Whenever, even though I'm acting, I'm on the set and I'm reading a script and I'm saying it, I'm doing it, memories do flashback. Like the time when I was in the prison, I remember when I had to run away from my family. There's a lot. I remember I have to run away from my family, and police had to help me at some point because, you know, you're run away, you need to go back to your family. When I was in the prison, I almost got a emotional breakdown because memories start coming back to me. And Tamara was very supportive. No one saw it, but because I was there and she was there with me, I started crying and she like, you know what, let's go to the bus. And I sit down and I just let the moment just, whatever I'm feeling, I'm just feeling it in that moment. And then look at it, say, you know what, I'm now doing this. I'm going to be proud of myself a couple of years later for things that I've been through. And we had to stop the whole set, which was so sweet. We had to stop the whole set because someone was there to say, you know what, no, it's me and Chyna time. It's me and Chyna time. And then I was like sitting and she said, wait, what happened? No, you don't want to talk about it. I said, no, I'm going to talk about it because I'm going to do it. And then that's where I explained everything that, you know, I've been through so much in life and all of this now is just happening. It's just not, it just seems like it's not happening, like everything's happening too fast. So at the time I was emotional, but at the same time I was kind of happy in some ways because I'm looking at it to say, okay, I'm doing a movie. People who were looking down at me, hoping that, you know, I would be who I am today. I have this, you know, thing now to prove them wrong, to say that, you know what, I did this and I'm proud of myself for doing it. So, and then I took that and then went into character, and then that's where like people were saying that I can't tell that if that's actually you as a person or that's hibiscus because you did it so beautifully. I was like, yeah, this is both of us struggling to be who we are today.
That was why I couldn't tell, because if you got to the point where, you know, the director, Tamara, or people on the set couldn't tell the difference between you two, then as an audience member, I couldn't either, right? So that was like one of the things that really stood out for me. That's why you got the BAFTA nomination. Because it didn't look like acting at a certain point, right? It looks like being, which was really powerful. What has been the response from people in Jamaica, specifically queer people in Jamaica, who've seen the series to you? And what have they said to you?
My chosen family, which is Glenroy, did reach out and say that, by the way, you literally deserve this. A BAFTA nominee, and I will keep saying the same thing, British Academy, you deserve this. This is you, this is what you waited for, and this is how you own it. My nickname now to her is Miss BAFTA nominee. I said, okay. My grandma, who's my family, she hasn't seen the series as yet, but I did say it to her and she's like, yes, your mother would be so proud. Yes. I was like, sometimes I think that, okay, I don't think you understand, but you're just boosting me. You're just doing what you're supposed to do. And I said, no, like literally I understand, and I see how many things that you have to struggle growing up, and now this is your moment. Fuck what people have to say. Do you, be you. I'm saying, you haven't seen a movie yet. Imagine when you see the series, how are you gonna think about this? I said, trust me, I will watch it. So we have a promise that, you know, whenever she come here in the US, we're gonna watch the movie together and just reunite. It would be so emotional. But other Jamaican folks are not pleased.
They're not pleased with the series?
The entire series overall. Yeah, they're not pleased.
They weren't pleased.
Yeah. The fact that said, they're basically saying that, you know, Jamaica, not only they're saying that Jamaica is not that much of crime and violence, they're also saying that this is too much of queer and trans representation. We're basically saying that Jamaica is full of too much homosexuality, and we don't care about trans and gay people who are living in a gully. I'm saying, you know what? This is the truth. This is what we've been talking about. So what I love about Get Millie Black and what Marlon James did is enlighten not only the truth, deep down in the truth. Yeah, you have crime and violence. You also have queer and trans people who are living in a gully, who are suffering or dying every day, who keep getting killed. So I really like that the truth is out and they're upset about it.
I mean, Marlon James, of course, who wrote History 7 Killings, which got nominated for a Booker Prize in the UK, wrote Get Millie Black. And one of the things that I think is fascinating that shows up, and it shows up in all his writing, but like the death is actually an exploration of life, right? So one of the things that all of the characters are so alive and they are living, like each one of them, no matter what hardships they're facing, no matter what they've been confronted with, each of the characters, the Jamaican characters, because there are some non-Jamaican characters, but all of the Jamaican characters are living like these full three-dimensional lives. Like the humanity shines through. Like Hibiscus's like humanity is really powerful. Even when you're at home like cringing at her choices, we're like, there's no doubt of the humanity behind it, and you understand why she is doing what she's doing, even if you don't agree with it. And we need so much more of that. So much more of that like understanding of complexity and complex human characters. Have you watched it?
Watch Get Millie Black? Yep.
Because not everyone watches themselves. So
I mean, I don't understand why, but I mean, I had to
say they watch it and they're so critical of their own performance that they actually.
I mean, I do. When I do watch it, I should have done more of this, or I should have done more of that. I do. So I probably get why they don't watch it, but you know, it's my first time, and I was super excited, so I had to watch it. And
you went through all of that. Why would you?
Yeah,
I think it's a little weird not to watch it.
At one point, I have to be in a gully. At one point, I get scratch mark with the stunt double because I wanted to be.
Wait, you didn't have it? Did you do your own stunts?
Most of it, yes. Because
what?
Yeah, because I mean, you don't get this opportunity every day. I have to do this myself. It's like, okay, I want to try it. Of course, some of them was too extreme that they had to have some of them were too extreme. They had to, you know. But I was like, okay, no, I can do this. I got this. I at the point where I think it was the second to last episode, there were violence between, you know, Hotburn and Tamara. I actually got a burn of one of the bullets. So, yeah.
Those are two of the actors.
Yeah, between it. Yeah. But the gunshots were real at some point. I was like, oh. Because they give me like a earplug to like put in my ears, and it's like, okay, these are real gunshots. At one point, I find myself jumping each time. I was like, okay, you know what? Never mind. I'll just have someone do the stunt double. Yeah.
No. Seems wise. Wise.
Definitely.
Do you want to act more?
I do. I really do. I've been doing a lot of classes, like any acting classes I can find. I'm reaching out to them. I'm also doing my American accent coaching, which I'm working on as well. Yeah, because, you know, I want to broaden my horizon. I want to do more. I want to take on different roles. I just don't want to be, you know, in that small bubble. I want to explore more. So I'm really working on that.
The state of acting right now is what it is, but I mean, again, from your performance, the ability to be able to fully inhabit a character like that, it would be wild to not see you on the screen again. I mean, we have so few representations of Black trans women overall, but Black trans women outside of the United States and their stories, and them being like fully inhabited round characters, not to mention it airing on a major platform in the US. I mean, do you stop to think about that particular piece of it as well? Like how like historic that is.
Trans representation are all over the world, not specifically just in the Jamaica alone. I do have trans people who are reaching out to me from Bahamas, from Barbados, saying that, you know what, I resonate with Hibiscus character so much because that's me now and I'm living my truth. And thank you for being you, and also pushing out Hibiscus character. This is a light, really. This is to show that Caribbean trans women exist, and they're creative, they're doing their thing. When I heard that, I was like, okay, thank God I did something, because that's what I wanted to do. Because even though I was acting, I was on set, I'm thinking about, you know, I'm doing this for my trans sisters, I'm doing this for my queer family. Be like, okay, I'm doing acting for the first time. I'm learning the in and outs about being on set. Also working on, community representation as well.
I mean, another thing that is a reality, like the world outside of acting, is the world of being an immigrant in the United States right now. One of the things that's really painful in terms of like a part of the story that's not celebratory is that because of where you are, which ironically is safer than Jamaica, right? But because of where you are now, you also couldn't go to the UK. You couldn't go to the BAFTAs in order to celebrate this life-marking moment.
Yeah.
I mean, what are your reflections on that particular?
Yeah, I feel a little down. I feel really, at one point, it was getting to me to say that, Black trans queer should have been there. We should be there representing, but I still held the title. I'm still proud of where I am today. I'm still proud of what I did to make it this far. I'm really happy that BAFTA also noticed me. So it's still there. It's still on the top of my head saying that, hey, it's Best Supporting Actress nominee for BAFTA, British Academy. I was like, okay, yeah.
You should have been there, but maybe, there'll be other opportunities for you to be there in the future.
Definitely.
What are the new dreams that you have for yourself? Because you started out, you wanted to be a model, and you almost gave up on modeling.
Yeah.
And literally stumbled into this wild moment of being an actress. Like now, what are the new dreams for yourself? You said acting, but I'm wondering if you have a sense of what that looks like for you.
I wanted to be the first Black trans woman to win an Oscar, to even walk the red carpet. And that was even before I received the BAFTA, because, okay, BAFTA, he said, do you know what the BAFTA is? I was like, no, not really. It's a British Academy. I was like, oh, so it's, it's the same as, like, I was like, okay. But yeah, I wanted to be out there. I wanted to be in the known. I want to be in everything. Because you don't normally see Black trans from the Caribbean everywhere in any TV representation. So I want to be everywhere. I want to be in the known. I want to walk the Oscars carpet. I want to receive an Oscars and say, this is for us. This is for trans. So that's the dream we're heading for now. And career-wise, I'm really working on that.
First Black trans woman to win an Oscar. Well, maybe there'll be more than one person in the Best Acting category that year, because dreaming big. Chyna, thank you so much for coming and sharing your story, and for just everything that you represented, giving life to a Black trans woman outside of the United States that I think not only every Black trans person, but every person can recognize so many things, not only in the story of Hibiscus, but also Get Millie Black. It's just such a powerful story about family and resolution. And so thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
All the best to you as you continue on your journey.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Time.
Sure, but definitely.
That was actress and model Chyna McQueen. Thank you for joining me on the TransLash podcast. And make sure to like this video, subscribe to our page, and definitely share it with your friends. Also, leave us a comment to let us know that you're actually watching it and how you're thinking and feeling about these episodes, because we are taking feedback and making adjustments, and you might even hear us read one of the comments out on the show. After listening to our episode about the Twinks vs. Dolls Olympics, in which one competitor won $1,000, Spotify user Night Divine said, "Paying the rent is the greatest motivator." So true. And that's not all, folks. Generally, in every episode, I tell people what I'm looking forward to in the next couple of days or the next week. And right now, of course, it's Pride. It is Pride. Like, there's no other answer. If you're giving another answer and you do a podcast like this, then you shouldn't have a podcast. So it's New York Pride. It's the nation's largest Pride. Sorry, San Francisco. Get your life. It all started here. We have the biggest parade. And there's so many activities throughout the entire weekend, including the Dyke March. So lots to be able to, sink your teeth into. And just as a cautionary and on a cautionary note, we want to have fun, and it's an air of good feeling during Pride, but we're in these times, so make sure you just pay attention all the time, and if something doesn't feel right, don't do it. That could also be true when you're actually in the club.